All right, everybody, welcome back to Leading Crypto on this final Friday of 2022. We're going to take a look at the markets as a whole. As always, we're going to do our weekly roundup, taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, DXY, SPX, potentially Solana, and a couple other altcoins, some order flow, footprint chart, the whole shebang, right? Hope you're all doing well, enjoying your quiet time, as even though we're getting a couple of small moves here and there, it's really not been too eventful here in the markets. Aside from that, we do come live to you every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you do enjoy our content, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm CVO, joined by Magic Internet Money and Burr Max, and we are Leading Crypto. So we'll just jump right on into it and start with some TA on Bitcoin.
Perfect. I'm a little late to the game here, so I'm actually just tweeting out the link. So give me like 2 seconds, but I'll pull up my chart and we'll get started while we're doing that. Gotta shill it, guys. So if you guys want to share the link too, that'd be cool. That would actually do us a lot of favors. And we'll dive right in. And as always, the patent hop in. There we go. All right, we're done. So not much has changed. We've been talking about this move down in the range for, I don't know, the better part of a week or two at this point, which this is the last 2 weeks. If we were to pull it up and just take a peek at the last couple of weeks of price action, it's been pretty dead. So you're actually getting a really small weekly range here, and you're starting to get that expansion. So I would imagine we're still going to come down a little bit more. You can see that you've come into these dailies and that you do have locally another daily down below here. This is the one I'm really most interested in. Now, in terms of the overall range, that is at 16,332 and 16,297.50, which we have now hit. So we've actually hit the value area low of our range. You can see it's coming in right here. I won't blow this all the way up because it tends to make it a little bit messier, but we'll go ahead and do it. So you can see this is your range, and our TPO and volume value area low has been hit. So we have effectively hit the range lows. Now this low is still intact. I would like to see it taken. I've been talking about that. We are getting that expansion though. So where do we start to shift and say, okay, maybe this is going to run it back and take these highs, come up to this NPOC that we've been talking about around 16.8. Is there potential of that at all? Plus we have not hit our weekly pivot, if I recall, for the week, multiple weeks in a row now, which is kind of rare. No, we did hit it. We hit it. 17,212 is the empty one. We hit this last week. I'm sorry, I'm mistaken there. For some reason, I thought we hadn't, but it's one of those things where could we, push that high and maybe take these highs? When does that become a reality? And for me, it's still this WSFP here, this weekly level that we've been talking about. And what that is right here. So hopefully you guys can see that okay. I'm watching it on my screen as well, but the screen I'm watching it on is also a 2-inch flat screen. So I know that a lot of you guys are on your phones. So if you guys ever can watch these on your computers, I definitely recommend it. What you've got is this level at 16,611. You can see it's essentially what I call a breaker level, and you've got one to the top side as well at 17,174. This one's interchangeable with several other levels like 17,212, which was the pivot from prior week. Also going to be your bi-weekly caveman pivot. So fairly important level. Also, you have your monthly open there for December, and we are going to look at the December range here in just a second. If you start reclaiming this level, one would think, I wouldn't say you're going to run the gambit and run all the way back to this level, but I would start looking at it potentially like that. What I would do then is look at this more like a range, a local range here from Friday the 16th. We'll go down to 4. Now we'll go to a 1 hour for this, right? And then I would say, if we reclaim 16,611 and we're living in it, we've got a local range here that we could potentially trade if we wanted to, right? And you can see it's also going to be right in line with your range low. And then, 16.8 becomes a reality. And I believe there's a daily level above us at 16,919. And you can really just box off this little window right here. And you can say, just like yesterday, if this level gets reclaimed at that point, 17,174 or 17,212, even as high as 17.5, 17.6 is on the table. You've effectively started reclaiming these participants, the people that have been shorting and filling in shorts. They didn't take profit. What happens when you don't take profits, guys, and you get range reacceptance? Generally, you're going to start trying to run some of those stops. So to me, when I look at that, I would say if you get back above 16,611, I would expect 16.8 up to 16,919, that little $100 gap. And I would just start marking out my highs right here. And the main reason being is you could run as high as 17,174 up to that prior weekly pivot we were just looking at right here. Okay. I guess that's also our caveman level. We could just keep this a little bit cleaner. We'll do this. Right. And so this expires at the end of the week as well. So this is technically still a valid level. You get above this level, I think this is the area that you're going. And as always, we've talked about that when we're looking at this, we should be looking at it from a time basis standpoint, because it's going to kind of take out some of the subjectiveness, I guess, for lack of a better term. You're not trying to like pull things based on, market structure that you can see with your eye. You're trying to pull it based on something that's been standardized, so there's not a variable there. It's just something that, plays. And we are coming into the monthly close, and we're coming into the yearly close and the quarterly close and several other things. So that NPOC we were just talking about at 16,819 is also your December point of control. So that alone, we know those like to get filled. We did talk about losing this level, coming down, sweeping some lows, and then coming back and filling in this NPOC. That was like a conversation we had in the group in the Bitcoin chat section probably like 3 days ago. That was my preferred scenario, actually. So me personally, if this bounce starts to get underway, I'm looking to fill in this naked point of control, take out some of these stops here, and then maybe get some action to the upside here if that occurs. That would be the best trade available to us right now. That doesn't mean it has to play out. It just means that if the recipe is there, it's the available trade, because you're not taking shorts from this region. It's just not a good idea. Now, if that does not happen, we get a rejection here like we were getting yesterday, right? You can see we've been straddling this level, got our rejection. If we come up here and reject, or even from right here, and we get that further move down, because it would just be another downtrend. And I believe the monthly is in a decent downtrend right now. Oh, we're in log. Got to get out of log. Now you can see that you are trending to the downside, not too aggressively. So it looks like it's still kind of range bound, but you can see that you would start coming down even further. And for me, I'd just be looking at this as if we get this rejection at the daily naked point of control on this daily level here, or the weekly swing failure pattern at 16,611, right? Probably going to be looking down to 15.7 in my opinion. And I've shown this before. This is a setup I gave well before we got our high here. It's something we covered in our members only updates several times. Would be from the fun folder, right? We all love the fun folder. It's a shark, and we would essentially be looking to take this to the next target, which is the 886, which is also going to be that lower daily level. But we have said that if that happens and we see this level, so it is important for Bitcoin to hang on to this support here, especially given that if you pulled up the overall range. I'll actually use the volume profile for this, that this is the range low as well. So this is according to the volume profile of the range low, whereas on ATAS, we've already come into that. So that's why I like ATS. It's a little bit more detail oriented, in my opinion, for the range lows, which is right here. You can see we're hitting those. You start giving this area the chart up. I just don't think that this area is any more than a bounce zone before like a pit stop. And then we can project the time and price on this again back to the fun folder, and we say, where are we going on this asset? And is it likely to stop here? In my opinion, it's not. And then the idea that we had with this crab pattern becomes more realistic. And ironically, the Pitchfork being a time and price tool, and us using it with these specific pivots on the harmonic that has played out and hit several take profits, we know is valid. If a new trajectory of a new downtrend was to start and we were to get further expansion, this is the timeline we're looking for, which brings us all the way into the middle of January. So if a move down is coming, that's the timeline for it. Until then, we have a really nice range and some levels to trade. We just talked about how we would trade those if we were looking for longs specifically, because looking for a short from this area is not a good idea. What you'd be looking for is the back test of what prior support for those entries, right? If you're not in that position already. So, that's how I'm trading Bitcoin. It's very, very simple. At least I like to think it is. I think the way we explain it is very simple. So that's what I'd be looking for. Now, if you get back above any of these levels right here, I do think that you'll probably see the daily naked point of control at 17.6, which is also, 17.567, that quarter two low. And if you guys go back to the tape here, that's also going to be right around the value area high of your overall blended range. So, 16.8 is a big level. You can see that right here. You're above there. It's good. You get above, where do you go? Range highs usually. So that's still going to be that all important and encompassing area. It's the TPO and the volume point of control for the range. That daily level is there, and you'd be putting these guys that didn't take profits all underwater and using them to go to the upside. And that's assuming you can get some, fuel down here. I haven't checked the order flow. They know I've been shopping for what I effectively call shit boxes online, and I'm looking at purchasing a vehicle tomorrow, more of a fun vehicle just for grins. So I did not look at the order flow, and I did miss this, and that's on me. But that's how you're going to play it, in my opinion. It is a Friday. What is it? Friday? Yeah, it's Friday. So as always, take it with a grain of salt that you are coming into weekend price action, right? So that's always going to be something that you got to consider if you're trading over the weekend, is a lot of times the volume is going to be lacking. And I'll let Max go over that as usual, because he's going to be more in tune with that side of things than I am. But don't really have anything else. We've covered everything from SPX to Tesla. Let's do a little bit of a Tesla update. We talked about this being a potential reversal zone for Tesla. We talked about how we would want to see a monthly reclaimed right here, essentially. You could mark off this low here, or you could mark off this low here, whichever one suits your fancy, I guess, for lack of a better term. You could even box it off if you wanted to. You could do something like this. This would probably be my preferred method. And we'll just go to like so that everybody can see it. And now when we go down to like the daily time frame and we look at this, you can see exactly where we're coming up to. And I'll get out of log scale so that we can take a look at the yearly regression on this as well. And what you'll notice is that the yearly regression is also lining up well with our pivot point. So when we say we're looking for a trigger for a long, you could have blindly longed this Tesla setup if you wanted to. I don't think that's always the best way to go about it. Oh, where's that box at? I need to organize this order. This was your completion zone for the pattern. So working nicely. You get back above this. What are you doing? You're back inside the trend. You target the EQ and then the high of the trend. And that lines up really, really nicely right here with our pivots of the pattern, right? So those are the areas we want to see hit. And you can box them off like so. And I've only boxed them off this way because lines up with the value area low and then the low of this consolidation. That's the other area that I chose. And then up here, again, point of control, overall gold pocket, right? Everything is, 382 in this case. Everything's lining up here with the quarter four pivot, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why these boxes make sense. And then I would be looking at this still. I wouldn't be looking for like all-time highs or anything. I think that's a mistake. It's just a bounce, and it may not even get this high. We might not see these levels. These are just the technical targets. If we reclaim these lows, we can start looking for these movements. I would be looking at it in terms of this, actually. I would be shaping this up as a giant descending triangle. And that's not out of the question. It looks way bigger because we're on the daily, but this asset's been around for a long time, much longer than, I think it's been around longer than Bitcoin, has it not? Or they're about the same age. They're about the same age, but you got 10 years of history. So it's not out of the question after a run up from where it went to get a large pattern at the top that plays out, kind of like what happened with Bitcoin here. And it's like a little bubble pop thing. You go to the weekly and things kind of look, a little bit more moderate. Bitcoin spent over a year consolidating before it broke down, from January 8th all the way to, what was it, like May? Man, it was like May, the middle of May, when it finally broke out of that range. And this is from 2020 to now. So, I mean, you're getting to that point as well. So you're getting to that 2-year mark where you could start to see a move like that. So if you see consolidation like this, you get that lower high, just understand that your floor is still here. And once broken, you can start looking at these targets down to, like, to me, $58 is on the table, maybe even as low as like this range down here, which is really, really low. Like, that's a very big drop. So that's how I'd be looking at Tesla. And then the SPX doing its thing per the usual. Not much has changed on the SPX. You're still at support. It's support until it's not. Lose this area, And I think the 2021 low and Q4 open get back tested. Otherwise, you haven't done anything special until you're back above 39.23 and breaking out of this yearly regression, this downtrend. So you can see how this box lines up really, really nicely with that idea. This is all predicated based on higher time frame points of control and range data, right? So you go to the quarterly, ANI, all that stuff. We start looking at more and more time frames to validate. You can see that this is the area of most volume dating back for 2 years on any timeline that you look at. So this top of this box needs to be reclaimed. And if so, I think that Q1 low finally gets broken and we maybe make that move up to the overall gold pocket at that time. That's, again, well and far away. You're range bound for now with pressure to the downside because you did just complete a bearish pattern, right? We did just complete a bullish pattern into a bearish shark in a bearish trend, which I think should be taken into consideration when you're looking at this, that the trend, it will eventually change. However, this is hit its major target, which was the X and B leg. Like we've already hit those targets, right? So the major target on this is up here, and you came up into it and you beautifully back tested it after completion, right? Because you're just looking to back test the old consolidation range at that point before expansion took place. And you've done that. You're now below all major point of controls. So bearish trend, one would have to side with the bears until the price does something bullish. And we know that price needs to reclaim this box to kind of give us that convincing, okay, maybe we are going to get a larger rally, bear market rally, which I would say the market is overdue for by all means. It's just, front running that and trying to catch a falling knife is never a good idea in my opinion. So I would just trade the range, take the small wins like I've been saying on Bitcoin and other assets until you get a prevailing move out of the local ranges. So that's how I'm looking at it right now. I'll turn it over to Max so that I don't go on too long. It's 17 minutes into this thing, so.
Okay, so let me start off on the I'm unmuted. Let me start off on the TradingView chart. Now, the story of this week has been a painful one. You've been front running all the levels. Came up here and we were all looking for this naked point of control on the gold pocket. Front ran, actually stopped at the New York point of control from the day before. Here, came down and again looking for the golden pocket, failed. And then you come down here, and this was so upsetting this morning. Came down, tapped the daily SFP, and you failed to make it more than $60 away. You actually came into the View app, which I don't have on this chart, and failed to get back above it. So it was for a setup. It looked promising, and we'll go into the order flow and check it, but it just didn't go anywhere, which is just annoying. But if we zoom out, you can see every point where we came up and got to these levels where we front ran these levels, you always had a ton of buyers come in and then we dump. It's just been the story of the week. Look up here, ton of buyers, and we actually live streamed and we when this came on, we were live and we said, that's not what you want to see when they get put underwater. And what happened was they got pushed out. Coming back here, you got a load of buyers at the top, but we find them. Some there, and there's definitely some more. It's at the top. Yeah, so you got large increases in open interest there, very positive delta. And if we zoom out and do it like this, you can see that where you were getting these large increases in open interest, they're at the top. And if you literally put a line at the bottom of this channel, you can see that it just kept coming down, testing this area, and then it broke and didn't let them get back up. It actually came back up and back tested this mini range where it trapped these buyers, and pretty much this was their signal that we're going to take you out of your position, and then it dumped from there. If you zoom into what just occurred, now if I zoom on like this, and I'm trying to get rid of this one open interest box because it just ruins everything. But you can see that in the build up to this little drop, you again had a ton of buyers entering. You can see here, let me just move my screen. You can see here you had very positive open interest, only 1.3, but on very positive delta. There was another one. Was it right before? Yeah, just before. You got another one. You got two here. So almost there is actually 10 million positive delta here on open interest candles, and they failing to take the price anywhere. And what does this show? Is well, it shows you that someone is sat there with a limit order as these market buys come in, and they're effectively suppressing the price. Now we are above it, but the fact that they were there, they just wanted to push it to the lows where you take this. It kind of signals that they were just trying to push you into the more liquidity, and they got a huge run out of longs. You've got 90 million negative delta there on, negative open interest on negative 27 million delta. That's a considerable amount. That's the highest I think we've. That's the highest candle volume candle I think we've had all week. Now, was it a good SFP? Yes, I would say so. Reason being, market out here. This SFP, the thing we SFP'd the other one, it was just this one here. If you look at the lows, you can see from the delta. There's what is that? Is that 8 million open interest missing? So 8 million. And then as soon as you come back above the low, you've got positive open interest on positive delta. So it means buyers then coming in. So you've got positions changing hands, and then aggressive traders coming into the market to help push you up higher. Do I think this is going to go anywhere? No. To be fair, I think that's just the way that it's being as of late. Again, similar to what Magic has said, I would really like us to come and tap this lower daily. I need to go to the hourly and take take this low. So company, take this low, come tap that daily, and there's your second there's your SFP trade. Effectively, is the safe way one could trade it. But yeah, it's been a slow week. It's been rather painful to trade, but you can see you've had volume, but it's been from an order flow standpoint. Look at this volume here. Other than the kind of way you can see you've had the volume spike here and here, look at this massive volume that you've had, and yet the delta tells you nothing, nor does the open interest. It's really hard to pick apart. It's really hard to look at this and say, which way is this going to go? Because when you've got this type of orders coming to the market where it's high volume, but you can't pick it apart. There's nothing to pick it apart. So for the new people in the group that are trying to read some of this stuff, this week has been really tough for them. So I feel for you if you're trying to learn and pick it apart. It's really not been giving you anything. It's just been a case of trap the longs, and then as soon as they're put underwater, there's effectively your trade. Now, right now, do we have any short liquidity to give us the fuel to the upside? And I can't see it. I literally cannot see it. Every time you get a really negative delta candle, it's longs getting taken out. I cannot find an area where you look at the chart and say, here is a clear sign of aggressive shorters entering. Let's go punish them. It's just been against the longs. Now, I guess you could make the case for the fact that we've got increasing open interest here does show that there was some shorts here, and I would imagine that the people that entered shorts here, and what I mean by that is obviously open interest is a contract between a long and a short. So if you're having an increase in open interest, it does have to be a long and a short. Now, if it's positive delta, it means the market buys are more aggressive. So what it means here is this is probably what I imagine traders have done is they've seen the drop and they thought, I'm going to get into a short and put my entry just back here, getting on when it comes back up, and then it's going to keep going down. It's most likely what they've done, and then price just pushed up through them. Now we are getting some liquidations here, possibly from them people. But yeah, it's not a place where I can really see where this is going right now. So I don't know what else to say. It's been a difficult one to read, but yeah, I don't think we've got the fuel for it to really take us to the levels that Magic was mentioning earlier. You say short squeeze, but I can't. Where are the shorts to squeeze? It's just not there. You've not got the shorts down here to really give you the fuel to take to the upside. So I can't really foresee a short squeeze. Could be wrong, but I just can't see it in the charts. me have a look.
I don't necessarily think you're going to get a short squeeze, but I think that you could get a mean reversion. I think you'll back test 16.6. It's just, again, I don't know if you'll get through it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but beneath that, but beneath your level that you've got. So we marked this on just a second ago. You've got trapped traders up here. So this area is resistance. Now, granted, if you get above it, you're going to tap the level that you just mentioned, Magic, the 16.6, yeah?
Yeah.
16.660.
611.
611. 611. 16.611.
That's the one.
Yeah, you're probably going to tap that at this point, considering where we are. But you have to identify this is resistance here, and you can spot it. You know that because tons of traders have entered here. And what does the psychology of trading tell us? That when price gets back up to there, they think, oh, you know what, just saved myself a $300 loss. I'm going to exit out of this position. It's resistance now, so you probably are going to come up and tap that level before probably rejecting. But yeah, I don't see us going too much higher than that. Is what I'm trying to say, because we don't have the fuel, and right now you don't have the buyers coming in. You just don't have the fuel, which one would normally want. But yeah, pretty quick one from me. It's been really hard to pick apart, so apologies for the speed.
Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure. Got the CME hitting 16.1 today, by the way, so it's always interesting to note.
Can I also mention, I just remembered, I've had a bugbear with Magic and that on-air thing since we started streaming. Finally, it's actually the right way around.
Yeah, he caught me on the wrong day the other day, right before stream. I was like, bro, I don't care. Like, just stop talking. He just kept going. I was like, dude, I'm going to chew your head off if you don't.
I noticed it so long ago, and it's only... it just got him. I just saw it the other day, and I was like, do you know what? I'm mentioning it because I watched like an hour stream with you on. I was like, and it's the wrong way around.
All you're gonna do is do this. There's like a mirror camera button, so there you go. It's back to what we were just talking about.
You know what the best thing about that whole issue was is that Max had the same thing on because he was wearing a shirt, and I was like, dude, your shirt reads backwards, and he was like, oh, mate.
I don't really look at my own shirt, but it always did my head in about Magic's. What about a lot of shorts coming at 16.11, creating new liquidity for a short squeeze?
It would have to go through the level.
Yeah, you'd have to get there, and the shorts come in, and then get above those shorts. Yeah, you can't really like predict where people are going to enter as such, and people that are using things like high block and these liquidity things that allow you to see where people are entering their limit orders. If there is a block there, and that's why you've mentioned it, it could disappear, or it could be, or if when we get to that level, that could be the longs trying to get out of their positions. So,
Sebastian, you were first. We normally call out the first person in the stream, so I'm just gonna say, Sebastian, you were first place. He beat our regulars.
He beat the regs.
With his message, I can only see late again. You guys are on the YouTube where you can see them all. But yeah, you can't really predict where short's going to come in, and it's only when they come in and then you get above them that you can then predict a short squeeze. We don't have an area down here where we can easily identify aggressive shorts coming in that can be squeezed. And zooming through the charts, you can see that the delta has been, whenever we've had a drop in delta, it's been on a decrease in open interest. Other than that, it's been on like a steady, very steady, slim increase with every drop down being decreasing open interest. It's been, I just don't feel like we have the shorts to squeeze yet.
Let's squeeze my shorts.
All right, then.
Take over, CBO. I'm done.
have to get in touch with HR.
That's it.
Pretty sure HR is just your wife, so
that's it, man.
We'll let her know.
She'll be squeezing my shorts too. So.
Oh God. Set him up for that one.
Yeah, you did.
You did. You got him a get out of jail free card.
That's it. All right, the final Friday, folks. It's what I was just thinking. I didn't look at it, and I'm surprised that nobody's talking about it. If there is, well, maybe people are talking about it. Who knows? But generally, there's a shit ton of contracts expiring, like options and this and that, at the end of each quarter, at the last Friday. So I'm surprised that usually, back in the, not that it really, holds too much weight, but it's like that was like the number one like FUD back in the day, like pretty much all of this year even. Was like every quarter you had like the whales or whatever was going on. So it's interesting to note nobody's really bringing up anything of that nature, but it is the last Friday of the year, so something to, I guess, kind of keep in mind.
The people that are saying that are probably bored of making content at this point.
I did see somebody review a candy bar the other day on their
Oh,
TA.
brilliant! Magic said it's so funny.
It was yeah, it's definitely, the bear market is getting stressful. All right, so Ethereum, just looking at some basic levels here, if you were looking at this, you really wouldn't have, what I'm looking at on this specifically is that what we just did earlier, right? You come down and you swung past essentially all the lows here for the last week, right? So last Thursday, you had our last low basically at 1181, just basically pierced through it by literally not even a dollar. So it's one of those things where, it's not a huge wick down to stop everybody out, but when you think about how many people do not catch the low, right, where are they putting their stop loss? Well, they're probably putting it really close to this little area anyways. So you get a lot of times where you come down, stop everybody out, run it back, run to the highs, stop everybody out once again, and then kind of figure out what the move is going to end up being. But if you're looking at this from a range standpoint, right, so we've got our previous day right here. Obviously we had our previous day low, so you ended up coming through and taking this. Our previous day high does come in at about 1206, so it'd be interesting to note if we actually came up and took the high here as well. Where did we run up to? We ran up to our local golden pocket, which is also our previous day point of control. So a really good area here if you were looking to take a long here. Obviously that's going to be a major take profit zone, along with the VWAP, previous day val, things of that nature. So as far as where we are right now, it's kind of just seeing how the push is going to happen here. Like I said, we did just come down, take everybody out, took the previous day low, potentially making our way up towards 1207, which, is in line, I suppose, with Bitcoin pushing like 16,611. This isn't much farther than where we are now, like another percent. Yeah. So this is the small time frame. So it does look like a big gap here, but it's really not that big. Yeah, so that's pretty much, where we're at here. Yesterday, we really struggled. So this is our new, data here. But yesterday really struggled to get past the weekly level, right? So we have not closed a weekly level on or past the weekly level this entire week, except for once, I suppose. But you can see how this has been holding us down wick after wick on the 1 hour time frame. So that's a big level to get above, right? 1202 and hold that. So if we can get up to it, you do have the daily open right below there. Like I said, at the moment, that is actually the previous day value rate high also. So there's a good amount of resistance up in this region if we come up to it. Our previous week is still giving us some areas to work off of. All right, Bitcoin just hit probably previous day val. Yeah, so I mean, we've been spending a lot of time kind of tickling into the range low here of the last week. The one thing about this is that, to me, if we were to actually kind of get a nice little range rotation here, point of control is our natural target. It is also the weekly open. Obviously, this is this week, so that's going to expire here in a few days. And going into the weekend, it's probable that we might not see it. But that is one area that I've had my eye on. If we got to, get above this weekly level, would be the weekly open, 1218. Like I said, point of control as well. I believe that's a local golden pocket area, or it was up until we kind of made a little bit lower low here. Either way, still would be a major area to kind of pay attention for. But once again, it's once we clear 1202 and start closing above that, at least on the hourly, and if not a 4 hour, and so on. Otherwise, what we're doing right now is potentially just coming up, get another back test of the val here. And very similar to Bitcoin, we got another daily below us, right? So we got an untapped daily, 1167. It is about the same percentage away from where we are now, that Bitcoin 16,200, right? That's the untapped daily we were talking about for Bitcoin. If we do hit that for BTC, I would imagine we're going to come down and meet this one for Ethereum. So it just kind of depends on how, what the reaction is once we get to these areas. If you do clear the weekly, then once again, looking up potentially towards 1218. Otherwise, catching a rejection right here. Like I said, this is local gold pocket right now. Also the previous day, point of control. wouldn't be anything to just see this kind of turn around and just come down, dump it once again after you've built up a good amount of longs. People are probably desperately taking longs every wick down after they get stopped out. And you can see that, anybody that's done that over the last week and a half here has, been getting hit. When in reality, this is the major target, right? So one of them, it's not even we also do have the previous week low over here. So that's something to just kind of keep in mind. Unlike Bitcoin, this would be, I think Bitcoin did not come down too much lower. I could be mistaken there, but either way, we do have the previous week low here for Ethereum at 1149. So this little $16 window, something to just kind of keep in mind. But this is why you can't preset either, right? So if we do see something like this come down, spike through this region, potentially coming down all the way down, taking the low here, right? You'd want to see some areas reclaimed. So that's why you set alerts, kind of pay attention, see how things react, because you'd want to see something like this, right? Where you come through and get the reclaim, or previous week low here. If it's going to be something to this nature, come through, take the previous week low, get the reclaim of 1149. That would be your long setup, so to speak. So, yeah. And aside from that, I mean, it's still pretty much the same targets to the upside here, right? We're going to take a look at our higher time frame range here. We'll note that the range low here comes in right at that untapped daily. All right. So likely to come down and meet around this region. Once again, kind of putting a little confluence around that previous week low as well to see a little deviation, reclaim. Not only would you be reclaiming the untapped daily, you'd be coming back and reclaiming the higher time frame range. So once again, another idea here for a long setup, potential for a complete range rotation, right? You got even the higher time frame here, point of control is weekly open. So this is going to remain a pretty decent little target here in the short term. We've got high time frame regression, right? Essentially, just kind of holding that center area here, push higher towards about, giving us that 0.5 area, possibly potentially coming down, taking out the previous week low here. If you come around the low side of this, just something, once again, can't necessarily trade 100% off that, but it's just something to kind of line up with everything else. And, if we start just completely melting down, you still got the big boy down here, 1037, right? So still remains my major area over time here, right? That's the one I want to see. If we come down to this area, I would imagine we actually push through it, something like this, right? And you come down and actually pierce, right under $1,000 potentially. Get everybody really bearish. I think there was Magic last night talking on Debate Crypto with Blood and Crypto Life, where they were saying that how, everybody's not bearish enough quite yet. I mean, there's bearish, but there's not like, everybody's sending it to the gulag bearish, right? Entering all those crazy shorts, and you break $1,000 on ETH and you break, the lows for Bitcoin potentially, right? That's probably when everybody's going to start entering major shorts, which is always a psychological phenomenon to see things of that nature. But, this is what I'd be looking for here, right? Still looking for this major move. So if you get this over the holiday weekend, you want to see the reclaim of 1038. And then from there, we got a big bounce potential if we get that. So still remains the same in that sense. Short term, though, that untapped daily right here, 1167, once again, remains just a really simple idea here. Simple range, remains our range low. Potential deviation down below it, take out the low here. Like I said, this low from the 22nd, essentially you'd be taking out all the lows all the way over here. So something to keep in mind. You did just basically do that already for this region. So just, definitely got some potential fuel in the tank. If we did come down to this daily, though, that'd be money. So that's what I'm looking for. Otherwise, it's down to the daily or up above the weekly, right? That's the two areas that I'm really interested in at the moment. And let's see. Just gonna take a look at Solana again. I don't know if OC Pet Doctor's in here. I think he was, but H-bar, just wanted to bring up this one here. Oh, there he is. I work with all women in my field. Talk about careful with HR. Yep, and I think I'd be careful with the HR. Definitely a good setup when the HR is your wife, though, Definitely a good setup. I'm looking for H-bar to come down to this untapped monthly over time. It's pretty much the next major area down below us. At this point, we've been looking for this ever since it broke the yearly level. It was like a 30%, 25% drop. Obviously, that's about cut in half by now. And then from there, we can kind of reevaluate if it's going to kind of just continue down to like a penny or something. But yeah, making its way to the untapped monthly there is the one that I'd be looking for. Short term here, Solana is making its way as well down to a couple areas. Got an untapped daily down here. Excuse me. At 631, and yeah, that's potentially the next major target for me in the short term. I probably offer up a decent little bounce. This is a pretty big ways away, even, right, when you look at it. So that's a 33% drop from where we are now. There is the 281 target where I don't necessarily know if we're going to meet that quite yet. I think we come back to that maybe later in the year or something of that nature. But if Bitcoin and Ethereum see that sub 1,000 and stuff like that, it's really only like a 15 or 20% move for Bitcoin and Ethereum right now to see the targets we're looking at to the downside. So a lot of people bring up the ideas of capitulation, and to me, capitulation is like 50-60% drawdowns in Bitcoin, right? So 20%, 15%, that's really not necessarily a capitulation. I mean, we've already seen that fall, just from last week, right? When we were up at our major target where I did not get to short, man. I'm still pretty upset about this. It made this plan and everything, and literally I was aiming for 1355. It stopped at 1352, right? I was looking to take out this high. Really, I mean, it technically did, I suppose, by like $1. But either way, even just from this high we were at 2 weeks ago, we already seen a 15% drop on ETH, right? So, and then if we were to see another 15% drop from where we are now, that's right at $1,000. So like I said, take it down to 980, 18%, that's honestly a Tuesday in crypto. So it's not I think just the numbers would really mess with people, right? Because that's potentially, talking about a $12,000 Bitcoin, those numbers pop up, but realistically we're 18% away from that right now. So it's not something that's uncommon to see. And if we see those moves potentially, right, it's all big ifs. Maybe if we turn around from here, obviously that would negate. Then I would imagine we're going to meet, these levels here for things like HBAR, for Solana, like all the altcoins look like they could take a 30% haircut and meet their next level here. So that would be the situation, right? Because once again, 15-18% out of ETH, easy. Double that for an altcoin, so 34% out of Solana wouldn't be uncommon. Come down to this major target, potentially get a nice bounce, and then there's a lot of room to make up, right? And then if we actually just turn around from here, same deal. You got a lot of room to run, a lot of major, statistical targets here that were left behind. We're coming into the new year, which is pretty exciting. We're going to have a pretty good members only market update in the group on Sunday, because Sunday will be a weekly close, monthly close, and yearly close. We're going to have a ton of new averages, being built out and put in. So that'll be a really fun update for everybody in the group. I'm going to do that right on Sunday at 9:30. But aside from that, yeah, just looking, I'm looking for 627 potential bounce from there, and then 281 over time for Solana. Let me see what else I had down there too. There's also an untapped daily right down here. So the 287, by the way, is if you pull up the global range, so all the price action for Solana, right? You can see that this is the global point of control. So as any time when you re-enter a range, right, you're targeting your point of control as the initial, statistical target. From here, right, we had this huge run up. What did we do? We came back into the range, got the back test right here of the high. And essentially from there, you've been slowly making our way down to essentially the low. And then over time, more than likely, you're going to hit that point of control. So that's one of the biggest reasons, obviously, the eyeball in that area. On top of that, you do have a daily level there as well. It didn't get back tested. So that would be, and that's a pretty drastic move, right? That's like 80% from where we are now. So if we actually do come down to this daily level and you get a decent little bounce, potentially like a drastic bounce, right? Because this is, potentially looking at an Ethereum sub 1,000. And like I said, like if we get the levels that we're looking at for Bitcoin and ETH and we get a decent bounce out of the market, front runs everybody's low targets, right? Everybody probably FOMO back in a little bit higher, and then potentially come back down and take these levels later in the year. That would be pretty epic, right? Because it's already a 70% move from where we are now down to that 281. But imagine if we actually, pulled it back to, let's just say we run it back to this weekly, which I know at this time seems like it's unlikely, but we've seen some crazy things in crypto. That'd be like a 400% rally. And then, you get a move down. That's pretty beastly. The reason I bring that up is we've seen that time and time again back in 2018 to push up a couple 100%. Granted, you still were light years away from a high, and then drop 90 again was very, very common in the altcoins. So it's definitely why having the strategy in play. It's all about being strategic these days. Like, we say that time and time again, the 8-bin and 10x and 100x your accounts, those days are gone, sadly. So right now you really have to protect your capital and really have a strategy in place and not get greedy at the highs and not get too fearful at certain lows. Yeah, that's all I would say about that. But yeah, so that's all I got, everybody. Oh, Near. We'll take a look at Near. Who is that? Khaled. Okay, I thought that was T-Bone for a second. So Near, I'm still anticipating coming down to the bottom of this range here, right? So we've got global point of control, which, as you can see here, that would be the difference, I suppose. If we started coming up and living back above 170, then that would, kind of turn things around for me short term, at least. Potentially run it up to, the 220 mark here. You got this gold pocket. Actually, I derived from the potential low here of D. So between like 85 cents and down to like 63 cents. But I still imagine that we're going to see something like that. The thing is with this too, is that if we do get to these areas and, start to see it, and that once again, perfect 30% drop. So if we get something like what we're looking, and I don't say what we're looking for, because it's not like I fully anticipate that we're going to drop to, $900 ETH. But if we do, the areas I'd be looking for some of these altcoins would be about 30% from where they are now. And that potentially puts Near in this like sub-dollar range, 85 down to like 65 cents. And, if we start holding those regions, or even if you blow through them and reclaim the upside potential, the immediate target back to this is going to be up to the gold pocket, which is going to be your B leg as well, right? So that's a really big opportunity. And this is where, like, when we just looked at Solana, when you think that a 400% rally is not possible in the altcoins, I mean, it really is, because it's not like it's putting you back at all-time highs. They've been just beat down so much. This would be a 300-400% move out of Near just to get back to, a gold pocket here, which would essentially just come back and back test this whole range, and you could just fall from there after that. So it's like, that's certain things that you can, kind of look for. But same deal here, right? It's either looking down towards about 85 cents or below, or if we start to live above 175, then, start taking this up, as we go here. And there's a lot of room for Near. In my opinion, I think that Near could very well be one of, and this is just a straight up think. Like, this is just when the way we saw Chainlink move in the bear market of 2018. I think some of these altcoins have that ability to get some really big pushes. Near is one of them. So, and it's just not from any fundamentals. I know it's dragged through the mud with some of the FTX stuff. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe this just goes to zero, but potentially this has got some really nice upside, at least short term, if the market turns around here. So, all right. That is all I've got, ladies and gents. Got a nice 48-minute video for y'all on the final Friday of the year. Gentlemen, you got anything else to add before we finish up?
Not really. I mean, it's been a good year. Hopefully you guys are making the most of it. I know I say it's been a good year as the markets have just been getting absolutely bombed, but you make the most of every situation. So if you didn't have a good year, you need to sit down with yourself and figure out what you can do to make 2023 a good year for yourself, whether that's in life or in trading. So no better time than now. Don't wait. That's all I'll say about that. Not to give you guys the dad talk at the end, but those things where, I don't know, it's just relevant, to the time. So
I love it. Magic Internet Dad. That's the best.
They do call me Magic Internet Daddy, actually. There are people on Twitter that say that shit in my comments. Sometimes it drives me insane.
Oh
I
man,
think it's important this time of the year for everyone that's trading to, sit down and look at the past year, go over and identify everything that you've learned so that, it refreshes. No, and I don't mean go and watch the content, write down from your memory what you've learned, how you're trading, if you've improved, you have to see the improvement, yourself and, congratulate yourself for it. Even if you've not won it, if you've not had a profitable year, but you've been learning, you need to, congratulate yourself on that because it's part of the journey. And this is the time of the year when everyone is looking and doing, oh, what am I going to change for next year? We need to look back and reflect on the year and see how you've done and whether you've improved. And when you've done that and you've identified, what you've improved on, you can kind of see, okay, this is what I want to improve on next year. Then you nail it for the first few months.
Yeah, that's a really good point. When you guys are looking back at your year, you want to identify positive habits that have affected you, in a good way, whether it's trading or otherwise, and you want to continue those because those are good trends. So you want to make sure you're still keeping track of those as well, not just the negatives. You don't want to be always negative on yourself or others, for that instance, but identify the things you're doing right, continue to do those. Those are your strengths, and then add to them. That's really all you can do.
It's always a good time to reflect this time of the year. That's what I feel.
Yeah, it means go get a bottle. Drink. No, I'm just kidding. Go get a bottle and reflect. No, don't do that. That could end in tears for many people, I'm sure. But if you are celebrating, celebrate responsibly. I don't care what you guys do with your free time. You guys could shoot up heroin for all I care. It's free. It's a free world out there.
I love some heroin.
Just do it responsibly.
Love some good heroin.
The libertarian in me, Max, is like, no. In Dubai, you'd be jailed for that. So,
Dubai's got all these great features, man. No taxes and stuff like that. But I feel like I would be in jail for everything else.
Ironically, I was listening to someone.
You can't. There's nothing that you can do.
I was listening to someone the other day talk about Dubai, and it was a female it was a crypto live stream. Actually, it was on TikTok, and I just popped in and had it up while I was doing dishes. And she was like, "Have you ever been to Dubai?" And the guy was like, "No." I think he was from the UK actually. And he's like, "Don't they have all these crazy rules? Like they jail gay people and stuff?" She's like, "It's not like that." She's like, "It's not like that here." She's like, "It's very safe. It's very accepting." She's like, they have the rules. She goes, "But it's not like living,
just tell you off.
Yeah, they're not going to do anything
to
you."
But there's nothing that you can, unless you literally someone's going to murder someone, rob people, which doesn't happen here because they get caught within the same day.
You guys got cameras everywhere, don't you?
But yeah, it's like the most cameras per whatever it is in the world. Like you don't do things here because you just get caught. And then the crazy thing is people hand in money. There's this story the other day. This kid found 500,000 dirhams, which is 100 grand effectively, probably $130,000. Just handed it into the police. Just found it in cash in a bag, and just handed it into the police, and they returned it to the owner within a day.
That's crazy. Did they give him a reward or something, or was it just one of those things like, all right, it's just expected?
Probably something. I just seen it on an article. I was like, God, that just shows you when in the UK people are getting stabbed for
watches.
And then
yeah,
and then I seen the other day they were just cutting off a bike on the thing and just peddling it broad daylight. No one was checking it.
Yeah,
I was like,
there are places like that in the US, unfortunately. But yeah, that sounds like a good place. Are you guys doing anything for the New Year's celebration? I know you like to go see friends and party a little bit, CVO. You're still the single man with well, you're not single, but you're the man with no kids.
No kids. It's about as good as being single.
Yeah.
I got two incomes and no kids, man. It's living the life.
Yeah, I would give Max the credibility, but I don't know. He could have some estranged kids over there in Dubai for all I know.
Definitely not.
Kid has ruined my
life.
I just got some good holiday heroin on Amazon. So
yeah, I mean, I'm not doing anything. I've got my kids, so I'm gonna see if I can make it to midnight. There's no guarantees there, but parents will be up on New Year's Eve, so I'll probably take the kids to the roller rink or something. We'll do some rollerblading and skating and call it a year.
Dubai is renowned for its fireworks on New Year's Eve, so it's not hard to find a restaurant and you just go and watch the fireworks crack off. So as long as you're on the coastline, it's just a great show. So that's where I'm going to be.
We'll do black-eyed peas and cabbage for good luck and money. the traditional New Year's meal. Yeah.
The
Is that
singers.
actually a thing?
What's that?
What is that?
That's like an old like Irish thing, dude, where you eat black-eyed peas for good luck and green cabbage for money on New Year's Eve. My mom's gonna be here, so she's gonna make it.
With his tips.
Yeah, it always tastes good when she makes it. She's a good cook, so it's one of those things where you don't say no. And in my house, you never said no to food. You know, it was one of those things where it's kind of like if she made you food, you ate it. You know, I don't know that many people do that now, but
You have to. It's the way it's done.
that's right.
Can't leave the table unless you finished your plate. Right, yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
Going off topic.
Otherwise, these guys are like, what are they even talking about? They went from trading to this.
Yeah, that's it. You get the raw version.
Now we still have that promotion going on for the group till what? Till is it the end of the year? Are we running it like a week into next year? What are we doing?
Yeah, we'll potentially run it a little bit as we go there. But yeah, if you guys are interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord trading group, the information is down below. We've got our website as well. We are offering a half off the first month. So if you want to join that on the members on the monthly subscription base, you can hit that and type in the code BTC22. That'll get
Do you have
half
that in
off.
the description of the video by chance?
I probably should.
You probably should put that in there if you haven't. That way they don't have to try to write this down or memorize it.
That's true.
But yeah, that's really all I've got, guys. If something didn't click for you in 2022, instead of throwing money away in the market, maybe invest in your education a little bit and try to make improvements there. It doesn't hurt you any. So
definitely. Awesome. Well, till next time, everybody. We'll see you in the new year, I suppose.
Yep. See you next year.